What's enlightenment, Babaji? And what happened when you got enlightenment? Enlightenment is not just see yourself different from your body. To know that you are not a body, a mind, and all the instruments of this body, either that is brain or something else. Just to know yourself different from the body is not enlightenment. Enlightenment is something else, different from this. That was the night of harvest moon. We call in Hindi Ashwin full moon. When moon showers nectar and blessings, that is called day of Sharad Purnima. That was, I remember, 28th October 1985. I used to go to Gaushala temple of my city daily in the morning as well as at night. In the vicinity of temple there was a tomb of a holy man, Baba Dharmdas. I was accustomed to sit near the tomb in the absolute serene, quiet surroundings. There was no noise of any kind, no animal, no bird, and no man. It was my routine to sit there for hours and hours, and when I opened my eyes, I returned home. Years elapsed during this daily routine. I recollect that night of Sharad Purnima, autumn full moon, when I was walking along the main road and there was a narrow, unmetalled track that led to the Samadhi of Baba Dharmdas. There was no road. I was in the habit of walking on the sand to reach Baba Dharmdas' tomb. However, the land owner of those fields which I used to cross warned me several times not to walk through this area because Large snakes reside here. At night, many serpents are visible on the tomb, but I do not know why I was habituated to play with dangers. I took life as a drama. I was walking on the main road and turned towards the stair. After covering a little distance, there was a right turn and then left turn. There was a tiny tree which I named dwarf tree. The tree was of small height, but very old and dense and had many leaves and branches. As I approached that pygmy trees, I was directed from inside that I should look at moon. I raised my eyes up and there was full moon of Shard Purnima. I observed that the moon is standing over my head. I was extremely astonished as to how moon was over my head. What was this happening and how? Blood in my body was making strange movements and circulations. A calm hurricane was rising in me. It was not storm like but noiseless. Something was gushing inside me towards the head. I just obeyed the command of my inner voice to look at the moon and accordingly turned my eyes towards moon. It appeared to me as if the moon was approaching my head. I lifted my finger. The moon was so close to my head that my finger touched the moon. I had never seen this sight before because moon is over 4 lakhs kilometers away from the earth. But today it had come too near to me. How it was possible? Before I could think, all the thoughts were shut and an unprecedented wave of peace overwhelmed me, and my one foot was on the brick and the second on the ground. The unprecedented wave of peace was throwing all about me, all around me. As per chance, the brick was already lying there, and many more bricks were always seen there. there was a small wall, and its bricks lay scattered on the ground. As I was ordered to keep my second foot on the same trick. Pardon, same brick. So I followed it mechanically. I put up my second foot on the same brick. Then suddenly I noticed. As it was raining, my eyes were open and I was seeing that milky particles were falling tremendously on me, on my head, and my entire body. And I stood like a statue. I could neither think nor understand anything. It looked as if something drenched me with a full ocean of snow. Were atoms, those milky waves, milky drops, were in such an immense quantity that their description is extremely difficult. The milky particles were continuously falling upon me, and I was unable to comprehend anything. The falling of white particles was perpetual, and an unprecedented tranquility flooded me within completely. It seemed as if I was vanishing and my entire body got eliminated. I was not aware of my body. The body sense disappeared. Probably I was expanding. My spread was taking place. My enlargement extended infinitely. The moon merged in me, and the stars, moon disappeared in me. I looked that the big and small walls collapsed. Prevalent environment was enchanting. A mild cool breeze was blowing. Very cool breeze was blowing slowly and steadily, and it was around 8:30 at night. It's merely a guess. I didn't have any wristwatch. I kept on extending and spreading endlessly. That wall was on vanishing legs, and it lost. There was no trace of wall. I could see across the wall transparently. Nearby, there was a small godown with good height. Its wall too started vanishing, and I was standing near the prof tree, which also disappeared gradually. All stopped existing. I was not able to move my neck in my direction, in any direction. I stood as effigy statue and my body consciousness was missing continuously. I didn't know who I am, where I am, and what is happening. Enormous expansion of me, a miraculous experience which I never had one moment earlier. I was walking, and thereafter there was no beginning and end of me. It was such an unmeasurable spread of myself that I merged in the whole universe, and the entire cosmos merged inside me. Both appeared to have happened simultaneously. My understanding vanished, and there was left only an experience, seeing and knowing remained. There immerse nothingness exclusively. Even the tomb of Baba Dharmdas disappeared into that nothingness. Everything reduced to a void, shunyata. The entire materialistic world was coming to an end. There was not existence of tree, plant, and the ground and on which I stood. The wall of the godown, the samadhi of Baba Dharmdas, and all that was solid went away into emptiness. All become transparent. The solidity which was hindrance to my sight vanished, as if the temporal world was destroyed. Eventually, everything disappeared, and nothing stayed. My awareness was missing gradually. Extraordinary peace and unprecedented ecstasy gripped me all around. I could recognize my enormous extension in the whole universe. Me and the cosmos become indistinguishable in separate light. I analyze infinitely in all directions. I couldn't understand or notice this strange experience. My expansion was boundless and limitless. The ocean of milky particles was quite anxious to fall on me while the sea was falling upon me. I drove into divine intoxication. It seemed someone threw me into an ocean of wine, and slowly I became unconscious, under the influence of that divine liquor. I lost my presence of mind and awareness. Nothing was perceivable except experience alone. Only an experience full of ecstasy and perfect peace, uninterrupted rain, uninterrupted rain, milky particles continued and made me to take bath in the shower of milky atoms. It's a mystery to me that from where the strong, unstoppable current of silver particles was emerging, I felt as though somebody smelt me something, and I felt drunken. Someone gave me a jolt. Gently, I opened my eyes and observed that the landowner was going there, and he stood on the same unconstructed track. I was in a state of mystical drunkenness. In a state of mystical drunkenness, the old man farmer was shaking me and asking, "What are you doing? Long since you are standing here. Why?" The landowner, the old man farmer, was known to me. I cannot say anything, but gradually I regained consciousness. How much time I took to become aware, I don't know. I am incapable to describe anything. I noticed the man was standing and pair of bulls was stood at the back. The man said, "It is 2 a.m. It is 2 a.m. clock in the morning." Oh, I couldn't utter anything, whatever. I slowly lift my feet. I could walk. Gently walking, slowly walking, I crossed the unmetalled path and reached the road. Step by step, I came to my home. I lay down on the bed, but I was not in my senses. It appeared some unknown force was getting it done to me, and again when I wake up, it was 9 a.m. Up to 6 hours, I was in deep sleep. That scene provided stillness in my heart. It seemed as if the whole existence was dancing out of happiness and celebrating. Whole of the existence was celebrating, constantly celebrating. That internal sweetness and the taste is beyond description. This heavenly sugariness was not all tasted, seen and experienced before. That memorable night of full moon Shard Purnima granted me a second birth. I was not that person who was one moment before, who walked on particular track and placed one foot on the brick. Again, when he came back, he was not the same person who went. This mystical experience of my complete enlightenment has been revealed to you for the first time till now. I didn't disclose it to anyone, which I have narrated before you today. I actualized that the word of Adi Shankaracharya, Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya, are absolutely accurate. That is, Brahma alone is real. Brahma alone is real. The world is illusory. Is an eternal truth. Because at that instant there was no wall, no godown, no samadhi, no tomb of Baba Dhamdas, neither the brick, land, nor the moon was visible. I was overtaken by the milky light of that full moon, and each particle of the universe overwhelmed me. All walls, trees, plants disappeared, nothing stayed. Then I understand that Adi Shankaracharya uttered these words out of experience and not as a philosophy. The world as it appears is not that. The walls and the doors of the house is merely an illusion. The trees, the plants, the moon and the universe is just a false idea or belief, or which our eyes report us to be the existent, or to is in fact non-existent. Brahma alone is the absolute truth, and that is the only truth. That's the only truth. The universe is just like a mirage, a fallacy. It was known to me on that day regarding the myth of the universe. It is not like a formula or a dogma, but total truth. Adi Shankaracharya must have spoken these words from his profound experience, which is not written in the scriptures. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya is not here a jugglery of the words, but an earnest reality. I was reassured that Shankaracharya is not using words but infusing us with ultimate truth. The universe is not fallacious the way we think. That what will you carry with you after death, or what did you bring when you were born? Adi Shankaracharya did not mean this. What he meant was exactly that I saw today. The entire cosmos is the expression of one and only one Brahm. Or I am the entire creation. There is no second. Everywhere there is my dispersion, extension. Wherever I see, there is my dispersion. It can be called as enhancement of Brahm. Tu, tu hi tu, or me, aham brahmasva. It is just an interchange of words and nothing else. On that day, I saw all disintegrated, no temple, no tomb, no wall, no house, none existed, stunned. I could not utter anything for a few days. I was walking and went up to temple and sat there. I didn't have any body sense. Eating, drinking, moving, seeing and speaking reduced to a considerable extent. It was mere normal. It was mere nominal. Thereafter I stayed in that state approximately for 1 month. I used to go to my father's shop, prepare my own tea and drink it. My father asked, "How are you wending like this? Is there something that is troubling you?" I couldn't speak. Even this, that nothing is hurting me. I am absolutely fine. I could utter nothing. I used to prepare my own tea, drink in one corner of my father's shop and walk towards temple. It was customary for me to go home and take meals. Occasionally, I skipped meals. This was the experience of my samadhi or enlightenment, and I became burden free, just as if a passenger traveling since millions of years reached the destination. Then traveling stopped. Traveling stopped. Fully stopped. Because once destination is attained, walking ceases. My body moved, but I did not go anywhere. And there, as I am, body spoke a lot, but I couldn't speak even a word. I became silent. According to me, I always stayed immersed in ecstasy. Ecstasy. Only ecstasy. I ate, I drank, and all actions happened, but I did nothing. In a detached way, all activities occurred. On that day, I understood what we call sakshi, a pure consciousness where the enlightened person witnesses the world without being involved in it and affected by it. I also came to know what is Sthiti Pragya as described by Sri Krishna in Gita. Pragya is synonym of Sakshi. Sthiti Pragya, steady wisdom, refers to a person who has experienced the ultimate truth from within and attained equanimity. Once a person is located in that state, then there is no way to come out of it, and it can never come out of it. Sthiti Pragya state. He never wants to abandon that state. And what is the need? When the person is always drowned in a sea of eternal bliss. Eating, drinking, all came to an end. Very often people question me that you do not take anything, neither fruits, nor vegetables, meals, or salt. You take nothing. How do you manage to survive only on milk? How you survive your body? How should I tell people that I am totally fulfilled and contented? For the first time, I am sharing my experience with you that I experienced. Now, what taste? What to taste? What to eat? Whom to feed? Who will eat? Nature, if wills, will feed me, otherwise will make me starve. I bow down before the divine will, and consequently I shall be free from the responsibility of feeling the body. All my desires vanished. No worries. Latent tendencies, everything dissolved. In that experiential state, all that I could call as mine burned up, all burned up. Either all belong to me or none belong to me. Listen this again. Either all belong to me or none belong to me. Both are true simultaneously. Both are true simultaneously. Though all cannot be explained in words. Hence, the enlightened persons become silent or unable to describe even if they try to do so, because that is beyond words. How can I describe such person? Apologize that I could communicate nothing. Before you all which I saw, how can I make you understand? I perceived, but even now I have failed to vocalize it to you. And I'll never, ever be able to narrate experience completely to you. I'm just giving pointers of my experience. No one has ever described it before and will never be able to express it in future too. It's beyond speech, intellect, and senses mind. It's an ultimate truth. I understood several things. Doors opened one by one, and ultimately all doors, as if I procured a master key. I got a key that could open all locks. Wherever I put this key, lock opened instantaneously. This master key is not a word solely, but a real I know very well that you must have got some clue from my description of the experience. Definitely you must have experienced a little bit and understood it in a way, but whatever you grasp is not accurate. Because the one who saw it, even he himself was not able to understand it. What was that? How can I disclose it? How can I disclose it? Consequently, it came to my notice that sages and saints have rightly said that supreme reality is not only unknown but also unknowable. That cannot be known and that can never be known and can never be described. Nobody has ever described him and will not be ever able to describe. He is not only unknown but also unknowable. Whatever I saw, I told you today. This was my experience of enlightenment. And this was my desire, my heartly desire to tell you. And today I have told you. Thanks a lot.